your quarterback, who we always look at like as the leader of everything, especially offensively, if not the entire team. I think he's going to have some huge games.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome into TexAgs Rewind, presented by Specs here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. David Nuno, Nick Savage, Callie Gardner with us. Nick, your favorite part of the show today? Beep. Yeah, that was good. If you guys know what we're talking about, we're not going to tell you. Just comment below. Do you know about the beep? Thank you very much. Galita, what was your favorite part?
I think my favorite part was Cole Thompson, but I did hear about Nick Savage singing, so I'm excited to go back and watch that.
Oh, there we go. No. Do it on camera, bro. We got to see you. Start from the top.
He's bobbing his head.
By the way, Riley listens to Bad Bunny. He's moved up the rankings of the final two.
He speaks some pretty good Espanol.
If that's even possible. I've heard he's been up the rankings all week, apparently.
We had Cole Thompson on the show. Sorry, I cut you off.
That's okay.
We had Brian Gamble on the show. Sorry, I cut you off. We had Spencer Tillman on the show. Sorry again. And we had Tom Hart. Oh, and Billy Lucci called in, by the way. That probably won't be on the rewind. It'll be somewhere in the TexAgs world, so go be a subscriber. And for the love of God, can you subscribe to the channel?
Please, and thank you.
Thank you. Just watch. If they find a way to go 10-2, are they a playoff team? Yes. The answer is always yes, especially on this show.
They should. I'll give you that. They 100% should be, because of not only does it show you that you probably changed a lot of the issues that we saw for the last 3 years when I was there to being positives, mostly the offensive line. I would say also health plays a major factor, but you're also probably going to have 2 monumental wins. I personally think that the A&M scorches Notre Dame week 1. I believe that that's a 10-point victory for the Aggies. It's the way that you start off the year again for the Mike Elko era. That defense, people still don't realize, I think, how good Nick Scorton is. Like, it's so baffling when you talk to people around the SEC and they go, well, who's this Nick Scorton kid? He has been learning how to play defensive end for the first time in his career. And they basically in the spring game had to say, you know what? You're good. We don't need to see you get any more sacks. You don't need to kill our quarterbacks. Please just calm down. And so there's not going to be that off switch for him during the regular season. You got games against also LSU. I think that's a win. We know what they play like at Kyle Field, especially against the Tigers. I think if they get a win against Auburn on the road, I think that's going to be a better team than advertised. I think that also they win against Missouri potentially. So those are 4 wins against potential ranked teams that are only going to boost up your numbers when it comes to the standard and resume for the college football playoff. You get 10 wins at College Station, you should be punching your ticket to the college football playoff.
Cole,
sure.
I mean, am I stupid for saying this? But I think pretty much any SEC team with 10 wins is a shoo-in for the playoffs. Am I wrong here?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think you are, because here's the thing. I think ratings play a factor. And it's so bafflingly stupid because if we look at the resume, we also look at the strength of schedule. I mean, every team in the SEC this year is ranked in the top 30 for strength of schedule. But unfortunately, the College Football Playoff Committee wants variety. They want consistency. They don't want to make it feel like it is a 2-man race and we just throw in a few other names to make other people happy and shut up. But that's kind of the case. And so does a 10-2 win Missouri squad master up to a 10-2 win Miami squad? Does a 10-2 Ole Miss squad master up to a 10-2 Clemson squad? And those are things that I think are going to factor in, because if they not only want the ratings, but they also want to be able to have that consistency with the boosters all being happy and them saying, we're not just only focusing on the SEC.
I do want to bring up the 2000 game, which I know you've been asked about many times. We got some video of it. Just let's talk a little bit about that game. And was it, if I remember history correctly, Major wasn't supposed to play. Then all of a sudden he's playing. That last drive for Texas where you recover the fumble. Just talk a little bit about that. And Jay Brooks with the play. You get it. Take me through that moment.
So we were able to travel as freshmen to the Texas game. That was one thing that, even though a lot of us redshirted, we played at Texas in 98. This was actually 99. And we were up. Texas ended up driving down late and kicking a field goal to beat us. And it was the 2-minute scenario. So, finding ourselves in that situation again, our defense coordinator, Mike Hankwitz, who, again, just to cycle back, was another big mentor of mine, took an aggressive approach this time around. We played a lot of coverage the year before. We came after them and blitzed them. We were going to go out being aggressive one way or another. And, we had some good coverage on the back end. We brought more that they could block. Jay made a good play on the quarterback. And when I was right at the level of the quarterback, and it was just one of those bang, bang things, see the ball drop and, just natural instincts, get on it. And, I've told this in the past, there's a lot of things going on at the bottom of that pile. But it was one of those moments that it's like, just go to your happy place, hold on to that football. Don't let it go because, there's this is a huge moment.
Let's talk a little bit about some SEC football and Texas A&M in particular. Have you been able to keep up with Coach Elko's career, his trajectory from Notre Dame to A&M to Duke, now back to A&M?
Yeah, and it's been a really cool ride for him. I mean, just watch from his defensive standpoint, that part of who he is and the identity, I think, melds well with Colin as an offensive mind and a coordinator. They're going to need to find ways to win together, given the unfortunate situation you guys got there running back the major injury to your starter. I think that's going to be – you've got some talent and some depth there, but I think what you get with Colin is a guy that understands, having coming from an offensive scheme where they've used dual quarterbacks in the past. Will Howard been exposed to that in the past with Adrian Martinez and then others that Colin has had to use to get the most out of what he's had. Now, he's always had a lot of other weapons around him. Deuce was obviously a big part of it. They used an H-back, and they've done a lot of different things. But they're going to need to get really inventive now and be very, very flexible and get some stability, if they're fortunate, and cross their fingers at quarterback to have some success. But I don't think there is a better scenario personnel-wise and disposition-wise for a head coach with a defensive pedigree, an offensive coordinator with an offensive history and temperament, disposition to match up with where the Aggies need right now, given the current injury situation of running back and just the history of quarterback. I mean, the dual threat thing is not going to be a challenge for him, right? Nobody likes that per se, but if you want somebody handling it, you want somebody with some experience and who understands that.
Here's the thing, Tom, and I dumb it down because I really feel this way. If A&M has a good offensive line, then the hit is still a hit because anytime you lose a guy like that level, top 10 player on your roster, it's a hit. It's a huge hit. Texas is dealing with it with C.J. Baxter. But if the offensive line is good, I think Connor Wigman is going to cook.
So that's really interesting because I listened to an interview Billy did with Greg and Cole. I think it was yesterday. Yeah, and I try to read between the lines, right? And maybe he was maybe Billy was a little distracted doing other things, but he started talking about Connor, and he almost pushed him to the side and said, if this A&M team is going to be really good, it's going to be about the offensive line and the defense. And the way he said it it sounded to me like he wasn't all in on Connor, who I think has the ability to be a premier quarterback in this league. And that's saying something, right? I mean, if you're in the top half of quarterbacks in this league, you're elite nationally, and you're going to lead your team to some big wins. And I don't mean to paraphrase too much, but I think Billy's comment was along the lines of, if this team is going to surprise, right? If they're going to win one or two more games than people are expecting of them. And maybe he was simplifying, but to me, if you're going to do that, that means your quarterback, who we always look at like as the leader of everything, especially offensively, if not the entire team. I think he's going to have some huge games, right? I mean, he's going to have to get explosive plays. I don't feel like long sustained drives usually lead to upsets for like the team that's pulling the underdog to win a game. It's takeaways and explosive plays in my mind. I'm sure there's someone out there that has studied this to the nth degree that could either support me on that or tell me I'm dead wrong. But to me, it's that arm and the explosiveness of what you could have with that offense that could lead them to some upset wins.
All right, let's close out. Before we go to Calita, Nick, you ever do an Instagram story and block people from seeing what you're doing the night before?
No, I've never done that.
Never. Huh. Some people do it. Some people do it. Hey, Calita, tell the people what to do.
You should like, comment, subscribe.
I hear you laughing.
Subscribe, and share.
We'll see you next time.